Hey all, and welcome back to Fuzzy Ducks Gaming, and the next installment on the channel of my bow league start, and we're now looking at transition into Omniscience on the Tornado Shot character. So I've been grinding just altars, bit of expedition, pretty much doing the tree that I bought out in the last video where you just grind altars, but a lot of the stuff that's dropping from altars now is not worth as much as it was when I bought the video. It's still worth doing just for the raw chaos, the sextants and stuff like that. But overall, everything has dropped in value, so you make a little less from it, but I still think it's really good returns for no investment. I've now switched to just doing my standard Alch Go tree that I do nearly every league, now that there's some better nodes on the tree. So I'm basically doing Expedition, Harvest, Essences, and then the Exile altars here. I'm doing it Stream of Consciousness, so I'm not doing anything other than alching a map, throwing it in, and then running it. I'm getting Harvest and Expedition regularly. I'm just focusing on Tuition for currency. Anything else I get is a bonus that I can sell. And we're still taking all the map nodes because I think they are needed to keep your map supply up when you're running singular focus. But enough about the tree. Let's go on to the character and what I've done. So I've only just bought Omniscience like a couple of hours ago, so there isn't a lot of content to show. I've done the Conquer Invitation. I died once, and I did the Guardian invitations for Elder, and then I died once. Both probably avoidable. It's just with all the clutter on the screen, I struggled to see what was going on. But I did semi-juice them, I would say, because I want to try and maximize my drops. And it paid off because I got an Awakened Gem drop in the second invitation that I sold instantly for 2.2 Divines. So the character is nowhere near finished yet. I still don't have my 6-link bow. There's lots of stuff I'm missing, which I'm going to go through in a moment. But as it stands, it feels really good. It clears really well, does the lead mechanic very well indeed because of how quickly you can move. Got good damage. It does not take long to burst enemies down. And you've got the mobility to get through all the find exit rooms without an issue. But there's lots of things I want to do to improve it. And this is where the build gets expensive. So just building like this Omni version of Tornado Shot, it's not cheap, but it's probably like 30 to 40 Divines. But now I'm going to start adding the bells and whistles to it is when it gets expensive. So first of all, I'm not going to go through the whole character because it's not really changed very much from the last video. I just want to go through the changes I made once I'd bought Omniscience. So once I'd bought the amulet, I basically obviously didn't have the attributes to run it. Everything went red and said you don't have Omniscience to run anything. So the first thing I did was bought a Fractured Amethyst ring. This was 1 Divine. I've then spammed Dex Essences on it. What I was looking for was Dex and Strength and Life, or Dex and Strength with an open prefix. As it turned out, I hit big Dex and Chaos Res and Life and an open prefix. I thought just for 50 or 60 stats, I'm happy with that. Because Chaos Resistance is obviously hard to get on this build when you go Omniscience, when you're just trying to stack attributes. Because I don't have a lot of Omni at the moment, so if we go to Miscellaneous, I only have 958, so I still need to spec into Resistances and stuff as well. And I'm just going to gradually upgrade my gear bit by bit. So the other change I made is I bought a Synthesized Belt. Again, this was 1 Divine. Again, I was looking for double attributes, but I hit T1 Life. Didn't have many Essences left, so I'll just settle with it. Crafted Lightning Res because that was the bit that was slightly short. And that's it. I haven't changed any of my other gear. So my boots are the same Ailment Avoidance boots I was running before. The quiver I won't need to change. It's multi, damage of bows, prodigy, frenzy. This is only getting replaced when I've got tens and tens of divines to get a decent +1 arrow quiver. The bow hasn't changed either. Again, it's just a multi-modded triple damage bow. Again, when I've got an absolute shed load of currency, I can look to add arrows onto a bow and kind of craft something or buy something. But you're talking 20, 30, 40, 50 divines for a really good bow, which at the moment I don't have. The helmet is the same. Again, it's got mana reservation, efficiency of skills, and reduced mana cost. It's not great, but it's got a bit of internet and chaos res and big life. So at the moment, I'm keeping it, but it is something I want to recraft. I looked at getting a Blackstone Crest into the build, but getting an enchanted one is either very difficult or super expensive. And you do give up a lot. Like reduced mana cost of attacks is bad to give up. Mana reservation, my mana is going to drop super, super low, although I don't particularly need any. So I'm happy with this at the moment. The way I've built these characters before is I've stacked Omniscience like to 15, 16, 1700. You do get a lot more damage, but you sacrifice a lot to do it. So I think this build, if I can get up to 12, 1300, I'll be more than happy with that. So there's a few changes on the tree as well. Normally I would look to go here and pick up the attributes, but I didn't really have the points, and everything I gave up was actually giving up more damage than these attributes. And I didn't really need any resistances yet because I could craft on my belt. So what I've done is I've anointed utmost swiftness because that did give me a good chunk of attributes. And I've had to go up here to get these nodes because my accuracy was about 96%. I can probably drop these at some point if I find, decent accuracy on my gear. They're probably not optimal, but it also gave me some crit chance, which is really nice. Still running my Sadist Storm Rider Cluster Jewel and then a Repeater Eye to Eye Cluster Jewel here. And then we've just got some really good Surgeon Eye Jewels in here for more DPS and attack speed. I'm still point blank at the moment. I am going to transition away from that, which I'll come on to in a moment in terms of what I want to do next. So the only other purchase I've made, although it probably wasn't necessary, is I bought Divergent Inspiration to lower the mana cost even more. So with the Helmet Craft, with 2 rings, with -7, and with Divergent Inspiration, my mana cost for Tornado Shot is 2. So it might as well be 0. It's never going to go down. It's literally impossible for it to go down. My totems use none at all because they're not 6 linked yet. Once they're 6 linked, then obviously they're going to use like maybe 1 as well. These are a really good way to get your Tailwind up to 10 when you're in Harvest or when you're waiting for a boss. You just spam totems like this. You stay at 10 as soon as the boss spawns, you then start attacking and you're never going to lose that 10 Gale Force, which is really, really nice. But that's about it for the changes. I've kept my Lethal Pride I've got at the moment because it has got increased strength and it's got a couple of lots of double damage on it. So overall, I don't think I need to change this out. It is quite decent. If there was like a decent... Oh, we've got double damage there, actually. Might be worth pathing to. So what we're going to do, we're going to go into POB. We might as well include it as part of the video. And have a look at where I might be able to get more damage now that I've switched my build to Omniscience. So the first nodes you want to look at with Omni is Forces of Nature and the nodes leading up to it. The more Omni you get, the less effect these have. It still looks like they give me 3.4% per point, which is good return. These are the nodes I really want to get rid of, but my chance to hit is too low, which is why it loses me 3% per point. If my hit chance was higher, I wouldn't be doing that. However, I am only running a 20 precision, and I could run a 21. So if we would just stick a 21 up and take these off, it's very little damage. It's 60k, which is next to nothing. And our hit chance goes up to 99, which I'm happy with. That's good enough. So now we got 3 points spare. So I definitely want these double damage nodes. But other nodes that I think, because my crit isn't capped, would be good as these. And they do give, about 4% per point. So after dropping these, what would happen if we took these 3 instead? We get a big increase because it was 1090 before and it's now 116. So we're now back up to 98. But can I fit these nodes in somewhere because they are more damage? And it would mean dropping these, unfortunately. So 1160, drop them down to 1037, put these back in 1135. So we're down, but that's because it's per point and it was 3 points to get there. But I've taken most of the life nodes. There isn't really much else I can take. I can maybe take a mastery, but overall, there's really not a node I can take. So at the moment, I think this is probably still the play. Even though I would love that double damage, it's probably not worth it overall. So if we were to drop these off now, it's 4.3 per point, but I have 3 points, so I may as well use them, and I can't see anywhere else on the track I could take them except maybe crit multi on unique enemies. So let's try that. So that's 1135. If we then to put crit multi, it is more, not a huge amount more, but it is more. So that's probably what my tree is going to be once I get a level 21 precision. It looks like it's definitely more DPS, and it just works out better overall. So, jump back into the game. That was unscheduled, but I thought I might as well go through it. What do I want to do next? So the first thing I would do is recraft this belt. It is good, but with enough essences, I can get as good with strength. And the more Omni I get, the less resistances I'm going to need. I need to recraft the helmet. The helmet is okay, but I'd really like to get big spell suppression on that. So the boots are probably something I would maybe look to recraft, but I need loathing essences and they're expensive. So for now, they're staying, but I think in the long run, these could be better. The gloves, I think, can definitely be improved because if I get loads of Omni, we don't need all these resistances. We are still going to need resistances somewhere, but I think I could get better gloves. I definitely want to get spell suppression on gloves. I want to get a better spell suppression implicit and maybe look to get Intimidate on Lethal Pride and get something like Rage or Attack Speed on the gloves. And then, as I mentioned, the bow and the quiver are the last upgrades because they're going to be really, really expensive. So the other thing I want to do is get rid of Point Blank because it isn't that great for mapping. and I want to get in fast shot. Now I need to decide how to do this. Do I go Forbidden Flesh and Flame? Or the other option is, when we get enough damage that we are absolutely destroying everything in the mapping environment, we can actually drop this, although Ricochet in terms of the terrain chain is really nice with like the league mechanic and stuff like that. But it is something I've done before and it worked really well. So instead you go up here and get fast shot and 2 projectiles, and then you obviously drop point blank. At the moment, I'm just going to stick with this setup. It's working absolutely fine. And I think that's it. I don't think there's much more other than obvious things like Awaken GMP, Awaken Daily damage with attacks are obviously going to make me do more damage. So we'll just go and run a very quick of my like Alk and Go maps that I've been doing. So we'll try and find one with some juice. Underground Sea is normally pretty well stacked with enemies. We may as well corrupt it, try and get some quant on it. We didn't, but we got it unidentified. We'll do Fortune Favors. We'll stick Exile back on, and we'll go and run this map. So the first thing we notice is clear is still not amazing because we have the minimum number of projectiles and we don't have Awakened Chain. So we get 1 lot of chain and we only have our, I think, 7 or 8 base projectiles, whatever it is. But for this sort of content, it's fine. I love having the Onslaught Ring. It was really expensive, but it just means I really don't have to worry about speed when I'm mapping, and it maybe wouldn't felt as bad. Let me just turn the volume down a bit. It maybe wouldn't have felt as bad if I hadn't done an Onslaught Ranger before. But going to Deadeye after playing like an Onslaught Raider, yeah, felt pretty bad. He's dead, yeah. So all I'm doing, I'm certainly farming essences because I still need some. They're still money, so we'll take them. And the DPS is there now where I don't really have to worry about anything. I'm easily going to be able to do all the invitations except the feared. Once I've got my upgrades, the feared should be a piece of cake as well, because the DPS is going to be so high, along with the movement speed. People overlook movement speed in the feared. It's really important to get out the way of things. Let's say your flame dash is on cooldown. So we'll just go and get my last Sanctum, because I think I'm about ready to run them. Yep, we are. Really enjoying the lead mechanic. I think it's one of the most interactive lead mechanics to have for a while. Not everyone's cup of tea, and obviously rewards can be a little bit spiky, but overall I'm really enjoying it. So since we've got Chaos Swords, we're just going to do a tiny bit more of the map, see if we can get a couple of raw Chaos to drop. And then, yeah, we'll close out the video. There's not really that much more to go through. Get everything but a raw Chaos. Okay, we won't worry about that. It's a few Chaos. We can make up for that later. There we go. At least we got one. And then the other good thing about Omni is I can level my Flame Dash all the way up, which makes, obviously, the cooldown quicker and it makes it feel a little bit better. So we'll go and take on the boss. I did have 1 div card drop from this boss. It drops the Divine div card. I can't remember what it's called, but it's obviously a very nice thing to have on your map. Now, I can't remember the mods on this map, other than a corrupted boss. I don't think there's anything else that makes it difficult. Okay, that will do for the showcase. Nothing else to go through. This is the very bare bones of my Omni build, and I need to start really investing heavily in it to get it to the character that I want. And as I mentioned in one of my very first videos, I want to absolutely stack this character, so money's no object unless I don't have it. Every penny I earn in-game, I want this to go towards this build, and I'll keep bringing out diary updates every time I think I've made a significant hurdle that I've got past. Next one's probably going to be the feared, so it could be a few days because it's Christmas time coming up. I've got loads and loads of stuff on in real life, so I'm not had much chance to play last couple of days, and I'm not going to be on a huge amount in the next few days, but I'll try and bring it out as soon as possible. That's it for this update. Thank you very much for watching. Take care, and see you in the next one.